grey stone blocks of St. Vincent de Paul Penitentiary isolated Donald Morrison not only from his friends and family, but eventually from himself. Within a year, the man who had outfoxed, befuddled, and humiliated the authorities was breaking down.
Why not kill me at once instead of trying to kill me by inches? If a man is to be treated like a beast, they had better make up their minds to do away with him at once. Such treatment I cannot stand and will not stand.
It was a diminished Donald Morrison who met reporter Peter Spaniard behind prison walls in 1890.
Behind heavy iron doors cut off from the bright, busy world outside, Donald Morrison lies dying.
I'm so glad you've come. It's so long since I have seen any friends. I am burning. Perhaps it is the fever.
It evidently was the fever. It was hot outside, but inside it was cool. In the penitentiary, it was always cool, almost chilly.
Morrison's supporters lobbied for a pardon, pleading with Ottawa. The Minister of Justice eventually signed a recommendation granting Morrison his release on June 16, 1894. But it was too late. Morrison was released and admitted to the Royal Victoria Hospital. He lived only 6 hours as a free man.
June 20th, 1894. Donald Morrison will be buried on the shores of Lake Megantic. All the property he left consisted of $10 given him by the penitentiary authorities, $1 sent him by a lady, and 1 cent, which he had himself.
He was taken out on a special train to Milan, where his father and mother lived, and buried in Gessler Cemetery out there, where he lies to this day.
Donald Morrison may have presented himself as fighting against injustice, but he was seen as a rebel and a martyr.
I think that mix is the powerful one, the rebel and the martyr, or the almost rebel and the almost martyr. The man himself would have had to kill a lot more people before he would acquire national status as a rebel.
Donald Morrison, to me, before I went out to Canada, was a bit of a mythical character. A character maybe who was made more attractive than he should have been. Having been out to the Eastern Townships, I feel something different, because I've come to know the people there. I've come to know the place. And I can appreciate the strength of feeling that there was to protect one of their own. I feel quite differently about him now.
But it seems that now it's 100 years after the fact that the story has come alive.
The story of the Megantic Outlaw endures. Morrison's defiance and resistance, now largely romanticized, have been kept alive in the community.
Suddenly the name Donald Morrison was Donald Morrison, notre héros. And I'm startled to hear he's become the hero of the local place. And they're going to put a reenactment of the shooting of Warren. In other words, they're going to watch how Morrison killed the villain. That man who came here was the villain, and he is our hero. And attending that was a wonderful experience, really.
Donald Morrison, vous êtes en état d'arrestation. Je dois vous ramener mort ou vif. Rendez-vous!
Get out of my sight. Go home. No American is going to stop me here. Farewell.
And then people around here, like Jill Moore, are picking up this, and it's almost an obsession with them. I know people have their hobbies, but he has really taken over the Donald Morrison story to keep it alive, and I thank him for it.
Je vous présente mon fils Donald, mon premier rejeton. Il a le même prénom que la légende Donald Morrison. Je l'ai appelé Donald en l'honneur de notre légendaire Donald Morrison.
The Donald Morrison story got into Gilles Morin's blood, figuratively and literally. While Morrison was not really a gunslinger, for Morin, the myth was more important than the reality.
It's a good recipe for a tourist industry, as long as they don't get too near to the truth.
What I would dearly love to see, and I think it is already happening, is that harmony that the first settlers had together, the French and the Gaels, and the trust of one another. We're in a new land together, we help one another, may be something that could, I think, be nurtured through the death of Donald Morrison.
It's a story that has love, it has passion, it has betrayal, it has cunning, it has everything that a story could have, and yet it's a true story.
It's also the story of one man who's standing up against all of the powers of authority and all the powers of the state, and we always like to see stories like that.
It was always a very sad story that a young man would sacrifice his life while he tried to fight the injustice of the legal system.